After what seems like at least a year or two of unconfirmed rumors and speculation surrounding what's next for the Assassin's Creed franchise, Ubisoft has finally revealed and confirmed a number of details for the next couple of Assassin's Creed games at their Ubisoft Forward event, which took place over the weekend. So let's get caught up on all things Assassin's Creed. I'll do an entire Ubisoft Forward recap, and I also want to explain why a whole mess of people thought that the next Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Mirage, was going to get an AO rating. Let's get into it. If you're not familiar with the title or missed the previous leaks and rumors about it, Assassin's Creed Mirage is the next Assassin's Creed title in the works, which was originally going to be a DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but has turned into a full-fledged game to help give Ubisoft more time to work on their ambitious live service platform, Assassin's Creed Infinity. During the Ubisoft showcase, we got an official reveal trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage, and for a cinematic trailer, it was actually pretty strong. In this game, you will play as a young Basim, 20 years before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In the trailer, we see the origins of Basim as he's indoctrinated as an assassin, with additional shots of him mastering his skills and running through the streets of Baghdad, where the game will primarily take place. It's also been reported that Mirage is a return to basics for the series, moving away from the franchise's more recent RPG trappings to instead focus more on stealthing your way through a much smaller map, fast parkour, close combat, and of course, assassinations. A blurb on the game's official website reads, "A tribute to an original. Experience a modern take on the features and gameplay that have defined a franchise for 15 years. In addition, executive producer of the entire franchise, Mark Alexis Cote, said in an interview with VGC that Mirage will be a commemoration of everything they've done in the franchise so far, so it will be less of an RPG and more of an action-adventure game. Also in Mirage, for the first time, players will be able to visit the Alamut, which we see being built in the trailer and is pretty key to the franchise's lore for a number of reasons, but notably because it's believed to be the birthplace of the Creed in Assassin's Creed. Now, as I mentioned at the top, there was a bit of a surprise after the trailer dropped. Listings started appearing of the game with an AO rating, or adults only rating, from the ESRB in the States and a PEGI 18+ rating in the UK. In the descriptions for the ratings, alongside intense violence, blood and gore, sexual themes, and partial nudity, real gambling was listed, leading many to assume the worst, that the game was riddled with so many loot box and gambling mechanics that it netted itself an AO rating. However, it turns out that was a false listing. The official Assassin's Creed account tweeted out on Monday, September 12th. Following the announcement of Assassin's Creed Mirage, some store pages displayed the game for pre-orders with an adults-only ESRB rating. While the game is still pending rating, we want to reassure players that no real gambling or loot boxes are present in the game. So that's a relief. But you know what's also a little bit of a relief? It's the pricing for Assassin's Creed Mirage. The standard edition of the game is only going to cost $50. The deluxe edition will be $60, and the fancy collector's edition will be $150. You know, that's $20 cheaper than most new games right now, and $10 cheaper than the kind of industry standard. So I think it's a good move. You know, it sets expectations, I guess, for players who are maybe looking for that next huge, massive RPG experience, but also it kind of sets expectations in that they're saying, hey, this is going to be a smaller game, so we're going to charge less for it. You know, maybe that game comes out and reviewers say, or even people who play it, you know, say, oh, maybe this should have been 30 instead. But I think that Ubisoft taking the initiative here to just reduce the price at launch is probably a really good step forward. And it'd be nice to see this going into the future of games where we maybe have a $50 tier of games that are maybe shorter, but also high budget. I don't know, could be cool. I think it's kind of interesting, but let me know what you think in the comments. Anyways, Mirage is out sometime next year, basically on every platform, including last-gen consoles. That's not all though. There was an entire boatload of additional Assassin's Creed announcements and official confirmations during this year's Ubisoft Forward. For example, later this year, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to get its final update and expansion, which is right now being called The Last Chapter. There's an Assassin's Creed mobile game in the works, codenamed Jade, which is set in ancient China and will allow players to create their own character. And then, in addition to an Assassin's Creed television series, there's also another mobile game being developed in partnership with Netflix as well. However, the biggest reveals, or confirmations I should say, since a good number of this stuff leaked or was rumored about beforehand, were the announcements for games currently codenamed Red, Hexe, and Invictus. Assassin's Creed Infinity was also confirmed which will actually be a hub for Assassin's Creed experiences and players. Codename Red was described during the showcase by Cote as the next premium flagship title and the future of open world RPG Assassin's Creed games. It's being developed by Ubisoft Quebec, which was the Odyssey team, and it will take place in feudal Japan, which obviously is a setting that people have been waiting for a very, very long time. Then there's the game codenamed Hexe, which is being helmed by Clint Hawking and Ubisoft Montreal, and was said by Cote to be a very different type of experience compared to past Assassin's Creed games, I'm assuming. Now, some are already speculating it seems like Hexe could be a horror game, and while Ubisoft didn't provide many details during the showcase, before the event, there were leaks and rumors suggesting the game would be set in 16th century Europe with a focus on the Holy Roman Empire witch trials. So that does seem to add up with the teaser trailer that Ubisoft showed off. Both Project Red and Hexe were shown to be a part of the Assassin's Creed Infinity Hub, and Cote has gone on to say since that the games will coexist and be supported simultaneously at some point, no release window on those. However, Cote did talk to VGC about another game, codenamed Invictus, which is a standalone Assassin's Creed multiplayer game being worked on by developers who previously worked on For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege. This one seems really far out. It's not even clear yet what platform or platforms Invictus is coming to, but it sounds like we will hear more about it in the fall. All right, that's it for Assassin's Creed news. If you're here for the Ubisoft Forward recap, there wasn't much, but let's get into it. First up, there was some new gameplay for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which showed off in-depth combat with a fun train fight where you have to combat a giant wiggler while riding a train while also facing off hordes of enemies. The game will get 3 DLC add-ons, the last of which will bring Rayman to the game as a playable hero. There was also a new gameplay trailer for Skull and Bones, which was also accompanied by a testimonial section where real-life people on the internet talked about actually playing the game for the Insiders program. So, you know, it's a real game that's actually coming out later this year. You know, fingers crossed, hopefully nothing else goes wrong with that game. The new trailer did show off ship customization for weapons and armor. Riders Republic, Ubisoft's extreme sports game, is getting a BMX add-on that comes with an Area 51 type of map. That looks like it's out later this week. Ubisoft also revealed the first look at The Division Heartland, which is a standalone game in the Division universe, which is being developed by Red Storm and takes place in the United States of America, where you protect a small rural town called Silver Creek. Meanwhile, The Division 2 Season 10 kicks off this week, and there's another season, Season 11, which will hit before the end of the year. Oh, also there is a Division mobile game and a Rainbow Six mobile game in the works. Ubisoft is teaming up with Netflix to bring more games to the Netflix app or games service, starting with Valiant Hearts. Also, Ubisoft Plus is free for the next month. Trackmania is coming to console and cloud platforms next year with full crossplay and cross-progression support, which is great. And Rocksmith Plus got a trailer. If you didn't know, there is a new Rocksmith game out, or like an updated version of Rocksmith. You need a subscription to play it, but it seems like a fun way to practice guitar, I guess. It's very surprising that we didn't hear anything about that game and now it's just out. So if you're interested in learning guitar or you liked Rocksmith games in the past, you can go check it out. Lastly, Just Dance 2023 edition is out November 23rd, which you might have known, but the news here is that it's getting a new mode/hub that lets you play with up to 6 people online at a time. Also, it looks like it will be skipping last-gen consoles, and from here on out, there won't be a traditional annual release, just updates to Just Dance 2023. Now that just about covers it, but there's one more thing I want to talk about before I end this video. Notably, Ubisoft as a company has been dealing with workplace culture issues in which it has been losing a lot of talent across various studios for a myriad of things. But part of those issues were allegedly related to unfair treatment as a result of systemic sexism and racism, harassment, and bullying, while some of the other reasons might have been more related to crunch. Well, before the Ubisoft showcase, it was announced that Ubisoft is launching a 5-year plan to help improve racial, ethnic, and cultural diversity across the entire company. The initiative is called Project Rise. In an official Ubisoft blog post explained, "We know we have room for growth when it comes to the representation of racial, ethnic, and cultural diversity, both within Ubisoft and the gaming industry at large. Over the course of the next 5 years, we will focus on 3 key areas: talent acquisition, internal talent development, and external talent pipeline development." All right, so just to summarize but not oversimplify here, it looks like Ubisoft is looking to address their work culture issues by hiring more diversely, and then also by growing talent internally, so giving their employees a career trajectory essentially, so that they'll actually want to stay at the company. And then that third point about external talent acquisition or external talent pipelines, that sounds like a way to develop more diverse talent outside of the company that they can eventually bring into the company. I don't know if that's through contract work or through outside academic programs or something like that, but it sounds like that's kind of the focus. In addition to those things, it also seems like they're looking to improve accessibility for their games across the board. Now, whether or not this plan will be effective, it's hard to say. It's a 5-year plan, and even then, these things don't really happen overnight, right? Even after the 5 years, there's probably still gonna be a lot of work to be done. But I think announcing something like this publicly, an actual strategy to combat this thing that they've had issues with, is certainly a step in the right direction. All right, that's gonna do it for today. Let me know what your favorite Ubisoft announcement was from the entire showcase, or from the Assassin's Creed showcase, which was like embedded inside the Ubisoft Forward. Certainly let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and for more video game news and updates, stay tuned right here to Inside Gaming.